when you start treating yourself like you run a business, then you're going to be running a business. I wasn't so hard on myself. Done is better than perfect. A lot of times I'd be stuck on perfection and thinking I had to be perfect, or in this social media world where everything's a facade, right?
So my name is Olabanji Stephen, designer, creative director, writer.
I spent 20 plus years working in communications, is what I would call it, in the field of communications. Longtime journalist, have written for the Omaha World Herald, Huffington Post, Colorado Springs Gazette, Associated Press, so even some Wire and World News. But I spent 8 years at university teaching journalism. It time flies, time flies,
Yeah.
and I feel very blessed to have um, uh, to have such an amazing career, and then explore a whole new journey all over again with you, Banji. I know that oftentimes we talk about, celebrating our successes and getting to know, like our strengths and our weaknesses. And I have never worked with somebody that has been, so detail oriented, so incredibly like has the foresight to know, trends that are going to be happening and how to stay on top of, and not just current events, but just to be relatable to everyday people in conversation. In this field of communication, like you're top notch. It's not just the design work. It's not that you're just a writer. I mean, or a speaker, or all the millions of other hats you wear, Angie. But you were so beyond your years. And it is cool to see kind of that. It's cool to see how you're exploring and navigating the world as a creative. I know that oftentimes when I started, when I was younger, we didn't have these outlets that we do now because social media was there, but we weren't tapping and using the resources and being innovators like you are. You're a visionary, and it's brought breath back life into my career, so I can keep going forever. I could literally keep going forever. So this journey that we took with the book was something that it really was just something that we were already kind of talking back and forth doing, kind of figuring out life
Yeah.
while we were, focusing on our projects and our clients, right? How would you describe kind of how we landed here?
Yeah, I think we've been talking about making something for a while now. And
Hmm.
we make a lot of things together, actually. This was just going to be one of those things that we made, but wanted to make something that was special, something that really mattered, something that was not just for a client, but something that was for people, something that could really help people. And we talk about this all the time. We talk about productivity, we talk about inspiration, about work and being better
Hmm.
every single time. And so this just came through very smoothly. You had told me, it's like, hey Banji, I have this document where I have so many things written, so many quotes, so many inspiration. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I thought it was just gonna be one of our conversations. And then next you send me a document. I'm like, wait. There's like what? 800 or so quotes, and she's not joking. And
If I say I'm gonna
and at
do
that
something,
point,
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna follow through.
yeah, like she's not joking at all. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do something with this. And then started to design and pull things together and like, okay, how special can we make this? How what problems can we really solve with this? And we figure that people want to be better. Everyone wants to be better. Everyone wants to be able to achieve their goals. Everyone wants to be inspired to do that thing that is seated deeply in them, right? And so we have this inner hero of ourselves that we dream and fantasize about. And for the most part, most people are not sure how to bring that hero out, how to do that genius. And so when you're when you had shown me the inspiration side of it, it's like, well, yeah, we could probably add a journal and a planner to this, and then it becomes a whole new system for people to use, like a tool, right? And so, yeah, that's how we came up with this. And
Hmm. I know. I I was in a dark space, and we all experience adversity at some point in our life, right? Things
yeah,
aren't going our way. Maybe it's just one trial, one challenge after another. Whether that's depression, for me, a divorce. Maybe it's somebody who just started the professional world and is learning how to manage work life balance. Right?
yeah,
It's we have life challenges, and so these all these quotes were literally little tiny sticky notes, little post-its that I placed all over this house. I mean, literally on the walls, on the doors, things to motivate me to get out of bed, to get going, to get
mm,
up and get it done. And you're not always going to have somebody in your corner motivating you on a daily basis better than you're going to motivate yourself. It's
yeah,
discipline. And sometimes finding that discipline, it's really difficult. So that's when we started saying, okay, what happens after discipline? It's not the motivation inspires us, but it's the action, it's the doing, it's the repetition, and that's what led us to really to pull apart our day to day and how to get things done. Sometimes it has to be so ridiculously easy and simple.
yeah,
A task, task by task. Write it
mm,
down. And then be able to celebrate it, whether that's a reflection or a journal. Um,
mm.
but it's fun. We had fun doing it. I think the quotes were kind of fun. Do you have a favorite quote?
Not yet. And I have some quotes that I'm going to ask you about. Like, how in the world did you come up with those? But I think we'll get there. And just talk a bit about what you just said, about having someone in your corner motivating you. And I remember listening to someone, and he said, "You will not believe the number of people that actually need inspiration, right? And we think that it's easy to come by, but some people are in their corners, different parts of the world. And if someone just said to them, 'Hey, you're doing okay, keep going,' it'll make their day. If someone said, 'I see you,' right? Like, I just see you. I see what you're doing. Keep it going. That'll mean a lot to them." And this person has said that because he was going around the world telling people those words, and some people will just break into tears and be like, "No one has told me that in a while." And I've just been moving like a log of wood, and it's just crazy the way life is treating me. And so that's really something. How are
I
you now? Are you? Would you say that you're in a better place? And what would you say is responsible for that?
I am. Um, but my level of outputs is probably similar to yours. It's extraordinary when we talk about high expectations.
Yeah.
Um, because I also feel as though, like, there was a point in time when I think no one was going to be harder on me than me,
Mm,
right? And that's like the negative self talk that can get into your head, that
yeah.
it becomes a vicious spiraling cycle.
Mm,
And so it was learning how to look at the fact that, being negative is really the counter of that is being positive, right? Flip it.
yeah.
So I think one of the quotes might have been, I don't know if it's in this one, but I had like literally so many quotes. But
Yeah.
negativity and positivity are the same amount of letters. You choose
Mm,
which one that your outlook is going to be. And when I started to look and be grateful and have a more gracious attitude for the things that I am already blessed with and have existing, and that, I am enough and I am doing enough. And, some days are going to be better than others. But when it came to truly accepting myself and loving myself, that's when I was able to see a huge uptake in my productivity. I wasn't so hard on myself. I think another quote that I had to realize that there's a lot of self talk, right? Then it becomes positive self talk,
yeah.
but was done is better than perfect. A lot
Mm,
of times I'd be stuck on perfection and thinking I had to be perfect, or in this social media world where everything's a facade, right? Or
yeah.
when I'm putting together writings and articles and I'm submitting it, I get stuck on the nuance of a word or a sentence, and it could take me longer than just getting it done. What is the
Mm,
point of holding on to a project if no one's ever going to see it because you're holding on to it for it to be perfect? No one will ever get to see your greatness.
that
So
that is profound.
it's moments like that that really helped me change my perspective, look at having a growth mindset, and then eventually leading me to thought leadership, right? Um,
Yeah.
Oftentimes, when we look at statistics, like 85% of people who have positive mindset and just on life experiences are significantly less depressed and anxious. So if I'm already battling some anxiety because I know I like to be high performing and I tend to want to be a perfectionist and I tend to want to get things done, and when they don't go the way that I intend for them to, I'm hard on myself. So it's understanding my consciousness. It's getting to know myself. It's clearing my mind and making an effort to focus on what I need
Mm.
to slow my brain down and say, hey, am I going to be positive or am I going to be negative? Because ultimately, that's going to affect my life.
Okay. There's a lot in there. Let's unpack it a little bit. So, one of the quotes there is confidence begins with self acceptance, which is what you've just said. And I think that is great. Now, there's two parts to the other things that you said. So, one is done is better than perfect. And I think we can unpack that for the next 2 hours because so I was reading and no, I was listening to Stephen Bartlett and Chris Williamson, and he was talking about a book that he had read and a lot of things that was in the book. But one of the things that was striking, which I was sort of tweeting about today, was thinking about doing the thing is not doing the thing. Writing about doing the thing is not doing the thing. Scheduling time to do the thing is not doing the thing. Telling someone you're going to do the
Mhm.
thing is not doing the thing. Getting the tools you
Right.
need to do the thing is not doing the thing.
Right.
There's a lot of things that is not doing the thing. The only thing that is doing the thing is doing the
Just doing
thing.
the thing.
And it's hard enough to do the thing. And so if you move from inaction to action, I think you should give yourself some grace and say, I am doing the thing. And you said perfection. I mean, it's better to be done than perfect, and perfectionism is something because I struggle with that myself. But if it's not done, it can't be improved. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that because you're a doer, right? And while you might hold yourself to high standards, you're actually doing stuff. And if you put that on a timeline, you would see a striking difference between the first time you did it or and all the other times that you've done it, right? Because it's getting better, it's improving. Yeah, that's just good.
You know, we self sabotage often,
Mm,
is what I call it. Where um, so we'll set up all these reasons that we or excuses or things that need to get outlined before it actually gets done.
yeah.
Right? We never move. There needs to be momentum, as you said. You know, you move from inaction to action, and oftentimes it is just like take it for like cleaning a house,
Mm,
right? You know, you can write a schedule, you can plan the day, you can buy the products, but ultimately your home is not going to be clean until you actually
clean it.
do it. Just do it, as you would say. Just do it, right?
Yeah.
Clean it. Just do it. Because if we spend so much time, it's not that you don't have a plan. I think
Mm,
it's the concept of a plan is great, but you have to experiment. You have
yeah.
to have a ground zero. You have to start somewhere. You
Mm,
have to take the first step
yeah.
to climb the staircase. So stop worrying
Most things
about
in
the
life.
staircase, right?
No, sorry to cut you. You go. You go. You keep going.
No, yeah. So it's that initial step. It's just that first step because you can't climb or or elevate or accelerate or anything unless you start with the first step. So
Yeah, that's incredible. I was listening to. I saw a quote and it says, well, it's not a quote, but I think it's an old saying. Most things in life are like riding a bicycle. You don't learn how to ride a bicycle by reading about it. You learn how to ride a bicycle by riding a bicycle. And so the other thing that I was thinking about earlier today is there's like a heart and head conversation that we struggle with, right? And so I wrote a post in the community and someone dropped a comment and she said, was that what you really meant? And what I was saying was that we're complex and we need to understand that we're complex and give ourselves some grace because we're complex. So you probably want to be a writer, but your head is telling you that you will not be able to pay the bills. Like writing doesn't make nobody money. So don't write. You've got bills and debt to pay, but in your heart of hearts, you want to write. And so there's the back and forth between your heart and your head. And what I advised was just give your head. Okay, let me say it this way. This is going to be hard, but I'll try. Schedule space for your heart in your head.
Mm.
And so, of all the things that you need to do during the day, put hard time there. That's time to write. It doesn't have to be a long time. Could be 20 minutes, could be 30 minutes every day. But you don't want to not do stuff, especially when you want to do stuff, especially when you believe that that is your way of contributing to the world. That's your way of making your mark. You've got to try to do it. Now, now we get to the part where there's the resistance, right? And so you want to do amazing things, but you sit down to, or, well, you sit down to do it and you feel like there's no inspiration and you're not great at it. But that's because you just started, right? You have to keep going and get better at it. And if you don't fight the resistance, you won't get ahead at all. Which is going to lead me to one of the quotes here. So I'm going to read it out. The world is yours to take, impact, and improve. Are you really going to let it go?
Right. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Every day is an
Um,
opportunity.
hmm,
So when you read that quote,
yeah.
I'm curious, what comes initially to mind for you?
What comes to mind is the change that I want to make, like the impact that I believe that my work can have on the world.
Mhm.
And I think it'll be, what's the word? Injustice? Unfair. Yeah, that's the word. It'll be unfair to not let the world have that.
You're
Yeah.
cheating yourself of greatness,
Mm.
and you're not allowing the world to see you at your greatness, right? So then my question to you is what is your measure of success if you were to pursue that dream or you were to pursue that book or pursue whatever it is that you know that you'll create impact? What is your measure of success?
That's a tough one.
Do you have
Yes,
to equate success?
not necessarily. So I think my measure of success would be the effect that my work has on people. I want someone to read my work, see my work, come in contact with my work in any way, and be better, feel better, do better, think better, relate better. Yeah, that is probably it.
It's rewarding. When you take the time to work on yourself, it's rewarding.
Hmm.
The thing about impact is sometimes we won't even feel in the impact of what we're doing, maybe until years later, or maybe we won't even know the gravity of the situation, right? We won't even know how impactful it is.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we go back to equating success with money, and that's not always the case.
Hmm.
A lot of people will
Yeah.
equate success with Um, is this an experience that how it makes me feel, right? So there's either the monetary, there's the emotional tie to it, right? So
Yeah.
then when you look at impact as a whole, is impact for us or is impact outwardly for others?
Mm.
I just often I encounter so many people who stop themselves because they don't feel that they're good enough or that they don't have the qualifications, right? So they want to take the time to finesse and fine tune, which is fine. But in where I am, I've noticed that
Yeah.
unless you put yourself out there, you may not be qualified for the position, right? You may not.
Yeah.
You may be qualified for a position you're looking at, but you don't realize what it's going to take because maybe there's something that someone sees in you that it's hard for you to absorb and understand it yourself. It is so much easier to tell somebody what they're doing extremely well in or by observation or what they need to improve on. But when it comes to self,
Mm.
it's that negative self talk that comes first. I can ask
Yeah.
you a simple thing as Banji, tell me tell me three of your strengths. What are three things about you that you feel is so incredible that no one else can do better than you? Tell me about yourself.
Mm.
Three strengths.
Okay, it's gonna feel like bragging. Um, I
No, you're
think I think
supposed to. See,
fast.
there it goes, the negative already.
Yeah.
Negative.
I think I'm. Yeah, I think fast, and I'm sort of able to make connection between seemingly unrelated things. I think I'm a great designer, a great writer as well,
Yeah.
and I think I understand leadership to with a I wouldn't say in a unique way, but I sort of do. So every time I've had the chance to take a lead on things, everyone does incredibly well. Like they're happy that I'm there, that I'm leading. And so, yeah, maybe something else might come to mind later, but off my head,
Now tell me about your weaknesses.
I'm sort of a perfectionist, right? So guilty as charged. I like things to be done very well, almost, almost spotless. And I've been embracing done is better than perfect a lot lately because if I don't, then I will hardly get anything done. So yeah, that's a thing. Sometimes I think I'm too agreeable as well. I think I will be a bit more disagreeable. That's a strength. Sometimes it's a. I mean, it's a double edged sword, sort of. But yeah,
So how does knowing yourself set you up um, for for a project?
that's a beautiful question, and I think that could lead us to discussing some of the functionalities of the book that we've created. But
Mm-hmm.
the simple answer to that question is I know I do things differently. So rather than argue, I probably would just send an invoice, send a contract, just let you know the price up front and just be like, yes, no. Sometimes when I want to negotiate, I'll go read my favorite negotiation books I'll just go read my highlights to prep my mind and remind myself that this is your goal for going into this conversation, and it should be in front of your mind, not at the back.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so, and that works in conversations that I get involved in as well, and that has been incredibly helpful.
Most people have a difficult time with knowing themselves in situations when it comes to communicating how they
Mm,
feel, how they're reacting. And it's interesting how, when we talk about the functionality of the book that we had created together, it really is really, really going down to the essence of, like, are you taking time to have conversations with yourself?
mm,
Are you really getting to know yourself? Did these tasks get completed?
mm.
And if they didn't, how are you feeling about it? If they did, how are you feeling about it? How is this affecting and shaping the next day?
Yeah, that's critical. And one of the functions of the book that we created is a journal. So a journal allows you to chronicle your thoughts. So you can basically declutter your mind. In decluttering your mind, it's like taking yourself out of your head and putting yourself on paper. And then you get to see yourself. It's like, hello, me, right? On the other side, somewhat like the Gemini man. It's like it's still you, but you get to meet yourself in a new way, and
Hmm.
helps you not judge yourself that much. Even if you judge yourself, like you start to judge yourself like you were someone else, or like you're someone else, and that's incredibly helpful. And if you do that consistently, spread that over time, you'd have a great relationship with yourself. You will know your strengths, you will know your weaknesses, you will know what your personality is like, right? So if you get angry, if you're feeling tense sort of, and you pick the book and you start to journal, it's like, this is how I feel, this is why I'm feeling this way, this is what I think is going wrong, this is what I probably should have done. If you were to face that kind of situation the next time, you will be better prepared to come out with a more positive outcome than the first time that you were faced with it. And so that's an incredible part of the tool or the book that we've created, because the journal is the one that has the most amount of space. It's like there's a lot of space for you there to get out of your head, basically. Get out of your head. And that just helps you have better mental health.
It is mental health. I mean, it's that well-being part of having those mental check-ins, those touch points, right? Sometimes we're so good at managing other people that we have a really difficult time managing ourselves.
Mm. And
You know what I'm
real
saying?
mastery, yeah, real mastery is sort of like self mastery. You've got to master yourself before you master people.
Right. I mean, how like you said, how am I reacting to this situation? How did I react? Or how was this success something I contributed to for me to be happy about? Or what could I have done differently that would have changed the outcomes? I mean, really being honest with yourself. Own your truth. A lot of people have a difficult
Yeah.
time owning how they feel. So that journal, I don't know if you journaled when you were younger, but I've journaled pretty much all my life. And not the typical kind of this space that we created. Yeah, it can be written format, but I mean, I'm the kind of gal that likes mixed media, drawings, doodles, little, because that's where my creative space is and it lives, right?
Yeah.
But seldomly are we willing to sit down, and we probably look a little crazy, to like have a
Mm.
conversation in the mirror with yourself, right? I do that. I am a little
Yeah.
crazy though. But sometimes it has to take literally the action of pen to paper and writing it
Mm.
out. It's like a document, it's like a signature. How often do we sit down and pin things? Because then we read it back and it forces us to accept and own our own truth when we are journaling. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't journal growing up. I talked to myself a lot.
okay.
When I when I when I got older and I started journaling. And journaling is funny because I don't know a better way to chronicle your growth than journaling. So if you journal through the year and you go back to your journal 6 months ago and it's like dated and you read what you journaled, you'd be like, who's that person?
Right.
Because you've grown, you're probably better or in a better place now. And that just helps you to be grateful for where you are right now.
They say journaling in itself, that is a like a coping mechanism when it comes to cognitive behavioral therapy, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it improves more than just the mental capacity. I know that, a study was done in 2006 that just says 20 minutes of journaling, right? 3 to 5 times out of the week, right? Just 20 minutes of it, right?
Yeah.
Improves your immune system function, your blood pressure, your lung and your liver function. And that was something I didn't realize because you're having to like slow your mind down, slow your body down, think through things, process things the same
Yeah.
way our organs are processing things. Think of all that stress that you're allowing then to not hold on to, and you're able to get it out. You're able to journal.
Yeah.
So, how how did self-talk versus journaling, tell me the differences that you experienced between the two?
To be honest, I still self talk, but I journal as well. So journaling helps me to, it's almost like I take it out of my head, right? So when I self talk, it's in my head. So when I feel certain types of way, I prefer to journal, right? Sometimes the self talk helps, but I would journal. So here's something I learned about journaling. When your mind is clogged and you're processing too many things and you're stressing out, you're using body fuel to run that mind. It's not powered by solar energy. It's powered by your energy in your body. And so worrying and overthinking and all that stuff has been associated to quicker aging because you're working your body more than you should. You're using up the resources in your body too, you're using up too much of that resource or too much of your body resources. And so your body's wearing out. Your body's not, you're not Superman, right? Superman is not real. So what I've learned was just write it out, like write it down. And I tell my friends sometimes they'll tell me stuff and they get worried and there's a lot of things going on. Like pick a pen and a sheet of paper and write how your day went. It's like, oh, I woke up this morning and this happened and that happened and that happened and that happened and that happened. You would start to live more consciously because you now identify the different points in your day that stressed you out and how you would deal with them differently if those things come up again. Right. Yeah. So certainly that's part of what John's helped me to do.
You know, for me, even it was, I think the fear of self disclosure,
Mm,
being in an intimate space for me, and like that headspace. Um, I like the way you address that. You literally get it out of your head and you put it onto paper, right?
yeah.
Um, but I know that I could easily journal on a laptop,
Yeah.
right? I could journal on my notes section of my iPhone,
Mm,
right? I could write it. There's something about writing it down for me that that it helps ease the fear of my own self disclosure when I have to read it back to myself.
mm,
There's some maybe it's digital fatigue,
mm,
or maybe it's the fact that we are all different learners, and there's something special about being able to touch point with all, or most of my senses of touch and feel and writing, and the mechanics of like of doing it, instead of typing it. I feel like I'm always behind
mm,
a computer screen, that being able to pick up a book or being able to have some paper and just like go to a nice remote area, I can just be with my thoughts and only my thoughts, and no distractions, no distractors, no messages that pop up immediately to take me away from my thought process, no phone call once again, or maybe it's a game. Who knows? Maybe I'm Candy Crushing it. I don't know what it is, but there's all these notifications that
yeah.
appear on our electronic devices, and they distract us from the very being of existing with our own thoughts. So I think that's why I've preferred journaling. I prefer writing things down. Everyone's different. Everyone's a different learner. But when you physically see it and you can cross it off, it's a really good feeling when you can physically write it down, like you said, and get it out of your head. I can leave it onto paper, close that book, and know I'm done with that.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I think that can bring us to the other part of the book, which is the planner. How do you plan? How do you plan your day?
Um, to be honest, I am one who plans at night
Hmm.
and likes to then be prepared for the morning to have the list already prepared. Um, So when I go to plan, it's usually what didn't I accomplish today and what carries over the next day, right?
Yeah.
Because my to-do list is pretty much infinite, and I will never get through the laundry list of it's endless of things that I need to do. So
Yeah.
I have to break them down little step by step by prioritizing. And then I feel like I can make um, I was a hot mess before. I'll be
Mm,
honest. I was a hot. If I'm away from my to do list, I'm scatterbrained and I don't know if I'm coming or going. And it's only because I'll have multiple projects that I'm juggling, and even though I set endless, like I like literally have notifications for even my administrative time to my writing time to I have an appointment with myself so that way I can meditate. I have appointments with meetings and clients and stuff. And so when I'm able at the end of night from all those notifications going off to see what I've done and to be able to check and see the physical, like this got done, then I feel good because I know I take things task by task. instead of focusing on one item and then all of a sudden a notification changes and then I have to switch to the next item, to switch to the next item. I like to get things done, cross it off the list, not have to go back to it. Otherwise, if I'm doing little parcels of bits and pieces, I'm not going to accomplish anything. Well, one thing that we always would say, Vanjie, that I love, that I still use this, is like, we're cooking in the kitchen, we're whipping it up, right? We're cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what it feels like when you're cooking in the
Mhm.
kitchen, right? I'm having pots and pans and cutting and seasoning, and I have lots of different things going. But the way I orchestrate it, right? Because I like to multitask, the end game, don't forget the end game is this delicious meal. But if you just focus on the
Yeah.
pot and you forget that what's happening in the pan, like your rice may be wonderful, but you burnt your meat, or you know what I'm saying? The sauce is all
Yeah.
ruined. You forgot to season, you know? So it's learning how to navigate what's happening, how you're cooking in the kitchen and whipping things up, but also be able to go know what the end game is. And I think that that's the biggest thing for me when I'm planning is I'm big picture. I have to see task by task how this is moving me along. What about you?
That's
How do you
incredible.
plan?
Well, so I mean, the day to days, I've got non-negotiables on my calendar, so I put those in my calendar. So for example, I go to the gym every day, that's on my calendar. I write every day, that's on my calendar. I've got a morning routine, that's on my calendar. Every other thing goes in my notepad. And so I just write it down because so I've tried planning apps, right? And they're shitty because most of them, well, I won't say all of them. I haven't tried all of them, but the ones I've tried are quite shitty because I have to dedicate time to plan out the day. It's like the goal of planning is to ease my stress, right? You can't stress me out in the process of planning. It's like put this here, put that there, color code this and color code that. It's like, nah, I don't need all that stress. I just know I do this every day. My brain reminds me, like I literally know that once is particular time, I'm off to the gym. At this time, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is go through my morning routine. So my alarm wakes me up. My calendar reminds me you've got to do one, two, three, your morning routine. You do that. That's done. Then I put every other thing on my notepad. It's on my desk. So I would write when I finish a particular task, I just cross it off and I sign it and I move on to the next. Yeah, I just move on to the next. If I finish the next thing, I sign it, I move on to the next again. So that way, I don't spend 2 hours trying to plan the day, and then I'm tired after planning that I can't even go through the day. So I don't, I don't subscribe to complicated planning tools and methods, and you've got to color code and time block everything on your calendar. Like I tried it, I took a course that taught me how to do it, and it was stressful. It was freaking stressful. I'm like, no, I'm not blocking anything anymore. Yeah, I'm just gonna write on a sheet of paper, and that works. And I feel good when I cross things off and sign them. You know,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, that's
I
down. Let's
agree.
go for the next one. So easy peasy.
It feels good. It really
Yeah,
does. Most people struggle. Okay, so I feel like it goes in tandem. There's time management and stress management.
yeah,
Right? They kind of go together. Like, and people tend to struggle with those things. And it's easier to say, "Oh, put it in a calendar and just do it when it needs to get done," right? But there's something
yeah,
very rewarding, and there are systems, electronic, but also with us. There are systems where you do feel like you're being rewarded when you're able to check something off, like the tracker that we
yeah,
included in this planner, right? Or
yeah,
even by the tasks, right? Understanding there's that checkbox that you can reward yourself in it. But
Yeah.
if I don't pin it down, if I don't get it onto paper, then for me, it's like then I have to focus on my muscle memory of like what all do I
Mhm.
have to do today, and that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Then comes the stress, and
Yeah.
then comes the things that I forgot, and I'd rather just, you know, task by task.
Yeah.
And the benefit of planning, and even like we talk about time management, is that if you're only going to do one thing,
Yeah.
and if it only has to start with one thing, write down that one thing just to be able to cross that list off.
Yeah.
It starts with one thing, and I think that we I could procrastinate all day. I mean, everyone calls me the biggest procrastinator, but reality is it's not that I'm procrastinating. It's the fact that I have so many things to do.
Yeah.
I am so high functioning and high performing
Yeah.
that I don't want to let go to move on to the next task, which might delay me,
Yeah.
And knowing me, I have to like keep track of it and say, let it go. It can go roll over to the next.
Yeah.
So that's that time management and planning my time.
And that's cool because
Um,
we've got the perfect tool for that now. Resilience in Words is such a great planner. It's got a list with a finite number of things that you should be doing in a day, right? If you're doing more than that, you're probably going to stress yourself out. You shouldn't even be doing that much. But yeah, if you're a high performer, you're like, let's go. Yeah, there's a finite number of things that you can do. I think it's about seven. And you've got a box there. You can tick it off. You can sign right beside it. And yeah, just do that every day. Just write seven things you're going to do in the day, four things, five things you're going to do in the day. And when you're done, cross it off and
mhm,
move on to the next, cross it off and move on to the next, right? It's not going to take you 2 hours to plan your day. You don't have to color block anything. You don't have to, time block and all that stuff. Well, if you want to do things by time, you can just write it there. This is going to happen between 2, 3 p.m., 4, 5 p.m. If there's anything that's so important right there, you can just set a reminder on your calendar or just put a reminder on your phone and say, yeah, I want you to remind me to do this. Or say, hey, Siri, remind me to do this at 2:30 p.m. Easy, right? You don't have to stress yourself out planning and stuff. But I think the other thing that's important for us to talk about with planning is, so I read a quote, and the quote says, we don't do much of what we plan, and we do a lot of things that we do not intend. And that goes to, what do you think about that to start with?
repeat that quote so everyone can hear it again.
Yeah, it says, we don't do much of what we plan, and we do a lot of things that we do not intend.
Mhm. It's true. Um, I don't intend to get a phone call that's going to take me away from things that I've planned, my
Yeah.
day that I've orchestrated. What's interesting is like going on vacation and planning a vacation.
Yeah.
I hate planning a vacation. Here's why. Here's why. I I sit down and I have a general idea of the things I want to do. But if I was to put it on a schedule, to stick to the schedule, it doesn't allow me the flexibility to
Yeah.
change. And then I used to find a really difficult time in my workday when I looked at it. If I set it in structure, then adaptability becomes my issue.
Yeah.
But if I give general parameters of how much I want to do within this range,
Mm.
it allows me the flexibility to continue and move forward and make it not feel like it wasn't a success. And oftentimes, that's that
Yeah.
flexibility or adaptability when things we did not plan for, which is most of life,
Mm.
happens and it takes us away
Yeah.
from all the things that we plan.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is not being realistic with ourselves, right?
Mhm.
You, so the thing with planning is that you want to be careful. If you're not careful, you're going to mess it up. And you're going to mess it up because you're going to be depressed and you're going to be sad because you're disappointing yourself, right? You write a list of things you want to do and you don't do them. That does not come with a good feeling. So you want to be careful about the number of things or the things that you write or that you plan to do, right? You've you have to be realistic with yourself, right? If you have to go to work, you have things that are taking your time and you're planning, you've got a dream you're pursuing, you've got a startup, for example, you can't plan to do your startup work for 2 hours or 3 hours every day, especially when you know that you are not likely going to be able to do it. You've got to plan realistically and say, well, here's what my situation looks like, but I want to be more productive with every single thing that I do. And so you start to plan with that in mind. Because if you plan consistently, but much of what you plan you do not do, that's going to have a negative effect on you because you're not going to like yourself very much. You're going to think that you're a sucker or that everyone gets this thing, but it's just not for you. But that's not true. You've just got to be able to do it well, learn how to do it better, right? If you want to if you want to do better at work, for example, your boss does not necessarily know that you want to do better at work. So they are going to give you the number of things that they give you to do every day. But being better at work means you want to take a course, you want to learn something new, you want to talk to your colleagues, you want to have a conversation with your boss, whatever that may be, but it's not official. But you've still got official things to do. So the cool thing to do would be to say, oh, well, before I go to work, I'm going to take this course for 10 minutes every day. Now, the course might be a 9 hour long course, but if you take it for 10 minutes every day, that'll take you probably, I don't know, how many days would that be? But you're going to definitely finish it maybe in 6 months, thereabout. I don't know. My math is not coming through right now. But if you decide to do it for like 1 hour every day, for example, and you have crazy workload, you won't be able to do that. And you won't be able to cross that off your list. And that's going to make you feel bad. So progress, not perfection. So don't be super aggressive. Give yourself some grace. Be realistic with yourself and plan because you know that you can crush it. Start small, right? If you do more, you're going to be
Mhm.
happier with yourself. If you do less, it's going to be the opposite. So,
Can I add? I'd love to add to that.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, when we had started talking about time, and I feel still time is irrelevant. I'm a little kooky that way. I'm not focused on the time in which it takes to get it done. Instead, I'm focused on the task and that
Mm,
the quality is done right, right? Whatever timeline that takes. But in knowing that about me, right? When we sat down to look at the design of the book, the planner, we had went back and forth to say, should we put monthly calendars? Should we put times? Should we put dates on it?
yeah.
And it came down to us saying, no, you need to romance your own calendar.
Yeah.
You need to date it.
Yeah.
You need to date it. And the reason why is because I don't know how others may feel, but if you're anything like me, how defeated I would go out and buy a calendar of the year and get really excited at the beginning of the year, color code it, light it up with all these different highlights and write everything down. And then come March, before the end of the first quarter,
Mhm.
I'm not in that routine anymore. And the next time I pick it up, it's July, and I'm frustrated that half the year is gone. I cannot. What am I going to do? White out all the dates and try to redo this again the next year? Like, it
Yeah.
was so frustrating. I felt defeated. So when we put together the design, the big thing was is no, romance that calendar, date it yourself.
Yeah.
So when you come back and pick it up whenever that is, you don't
Yeah.
feel as though you're a failure because you didn't complete all those days. No, it's step by step, day by day, little
Mhm.
bits at a time, task by task. It is so simple
Yeah.
to meet you. We want to meet you where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who's very meticulous and is very, can function and is going to stay on task, then this should last you a good, what we would say, 4 months.
Yeah. Definitely
Through
4 months.
definitely, right? But if not, it's okay. You have these dates, you have these daily insights. They're only going to be as useful as
Yeah.
you utilize it,
Yeah. And if
you
you're
know?
exhausted in 4 months, definitely get the second edition because that'll be out by then, and you can have that for the rest of
That's
the
right.
year.
That's right. We
And
want to keep you going and
yeah, just like you said, I think it's important to talk about this. The new year resolution, because this is like the start of the year, and a lot of people make new year resolutions and make plans for the year. And we have to be careful to plan with wisdom. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
be realistic.
yeah, be realistic, be ambitious, but be realistic. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a thing called projection bias, which is if I'm hungry and I go to the grocery store, I'd buy food to cook. So I could buy vegetables, I could buy all that stuff. And I could grab a donut on the way and I'll grab some snack and I'm like, I'm really hungry. Anything I can lay my hands on. And I get in the car and I start with the donut, for example, or a hot dog. And I start eating that. And I get home and I'm full. Right. And I'm not hungry again now. But I bought a bunch of stuff that are either going to waste or I'd have to stash in
Mm-hmm.
the fridge. And the
Mm-hmm.
idea is we have to be careful with the way we feel now because that's not exactly how we're going to feel tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
when we're planning, it's important to understand that we're not planning for now. The whole idea is to plan for when the plan is going to be executed. And it's a bunch of things. So you're also not planning for yourself now. You're planning for the person that you're going to be tomorrow and the person that you're going to be next tomorrow. And sometimes that's almost two different people. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
planning on a weekend, you go to church or you go to wherever and you get back and you're feeling funky and you grab a drink and you're like, oh yeah, let me plan the week. But you've got to know that your mood and how sweet you feel on Sunday is likely not going to be the case on Monday because on Monday you're probably going to be in a rush. So plan for the person that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be in a rush, right? Don't plan for the guy that is sipping what pina colada or what is that and just chilling, right? And so it's important to it's important to understand that we're prone to do that projection bias and just to be not to err on that side. And so, yeah, that's just a tip.
That is such a good tip, though. That's that planning with wisdom, knowing yourself, being realistic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think there's one more thing. So Charles Horton Cooley has a quote. He says, I'm not who I am. Oh no, I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. It says, I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a thing because we're leading lives with the perception that other people have of us. And one of the key things with planning is that you've got to plan to do you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not the image that you think that someone has of you. Now, the crazy thing is that they may not even have that image of you. You just think that they think that that's who you are.
Mhm.
And you start to respond to that. And one of the good things about planning is if you plan to do something that you really want to do, there's a high chance that you do it.
Mhm.
And it won't stress you out because that's what you really want to do. Right. So I'm having this
Yeah.
conversation with you here and I'm feeling great about it because this is what I want to do. Like I want to sit here, have this conversation with you. I want people to see this book and this amazing work that we've created, you know. But if someone said the way to get this book to many hands is to, it's not to do a podcast, is to probably run ads on Facebook or something. Now I don't like running ads on
Mhm.
Facebook. But let's assume I do not know how to run ads on Facebook. Now I'm going to see on my screen and I'm going to be staring at it and like, oh yeah, I've got to do this. This is boring. I don't like this. Right now it becomes stress. Right, I probably just leave it. I was like, well, if the book gets sold, it gets sold. If it doesn't, like, I don't care. But that's because I'm responding to a different perception or something entirely different. Now I don't know if that's the best example, but in planning, I think it's important that we plan to do what we really want to do because then it'll give us firepower to do other things in life. So, yeah.
A bit of advice that someone had gave me when I first started my business that I thought was brilliant is, and maybe this is the case for anyone who's looking at planning or changing their life or having momentum for their goals that they're setting, right? And intentions for the year. But when it was starting my business, when you start treating yourself like you run a business,
Mm,
then you're going to be running a business. So I had to start
mm,
seeing myself as a business owner and acting like a business owner in order for the business to have momentum and be created. And that goes back to
wow.
saying if you want to work out, right? Say if you want to be physically fit, you have to start acting like you're that person who
Mm,
already is physically fit. Don't go waiting to plan for the day to go shopping. Just start making wise choices now.
mm,
Just start doing now. And when you start doing, it's that practice, that practice, that practice. Well, and we're always going to be fine tuning. That's why
yeah.
we say doctors have a doctor practice, or attorneys and lawyers. It's a practice. It is
Mm,
constantly studying and researching and shaping and fine tuning our thought process so we can become better. And that's step by step. So I love that idea of what you're saying that don't act upon the person that you think I am, but I'm going to act upon the person I want to be. That I'm stepping
yeah.
into this world with intention. And here's how I'm
Mm,
planning to do so.
that's beautiful. Can I run through some quotes in the book and then you can tell me what you mean in the shortest number of words possible. So I'm just gonna pick quotes at
Sure.
random and be like, yeah, you tell me that.
Sure.
All right. So give me a second, I'll pull it up
Okay.
now.
Now this is fun. Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, let's get it. Okay, so I'm gonna say, okay, okay, this one is fun. Yeah, ready? One to go. Humbly stunt on anyone who doubted you.
Oh
What did you
yeah.
mean?
Oh man, are you kidding me? Okay, now I'm going to be real raw on this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, sometimes in life it is so frustrating when you want to do something, you want to be something, you have a goal of creating something and someone tells you it's so easy for them to say that's not going to work. You can't do it.
Mhm.
No, it's those non-believers, those naysayers that we allow to deter us from and distract us from our goals and our mission. So I'm gonna do it. and I'm a stunt on you, meaning I'm going to show you I can do it, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to be arrogant about it. I'm going to get it done and I'm going to show you what I created. Don't tell me I can't write a book. Don't tell me I can't start a business. I did it. Now what?
Now,
So I'm going to humbly stunt on them.
oh, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, okay, all right. Another one. Stubborn goals, flexible methods.
Ah, yeah, just that. I know what I want to accomplish in life. But I have to also know that it's not always going to happen the way I intend it to happen.
Mm,
So I have to be adaptable to how I'm going to get there. Maybe that's financing the business, right? I'm bootstrapping it. Of course, I would love to just like have investors come galore, but I want to do this for me,
mm,
on my time.
mm.
So it's going to come with a period of grace, and I have to be creative in how I do things. So that's that flexible methods, but it's not going to stop me from getting where I need to go.
That's beautiful. Um, Another one's like it. So yeah, number three says, "Magic was the day I was born. Everything else is great." Gosh, I love that quote.
Yes! Oh my gosh, you picked all the good ones.
What
These are
on
so
God's good
hardcore.
earth did you mean?
Okay. In order for a being to be created, right?
Yeah,
Now we're getting all to the metaphysiological things of things, right?
yeah,
It takes the DNA, a very special caliber, like to create me,
mm,
right?
yeah,
It's a secret sauce, right? I'm that secret sauce that was created.
yeah.
That's why I'm magic, because had it been another man, another woman, had the dynamics been different, had it been whatever it took in this universe, I was that special sauce. I'm that magic
Mm,
that was created. That was the day I was born. But everything else that I have to do to step in and own my name and be who I am intended to be, that takes hard work. That's grit.
that's great.
So
Gosh, I
magic
love
was the
that.
day I was born. Hmm. Everything else is grit.
That one sank. That one sank. That one sank.
Oh,
So yeah, another one. So it says, "Fake it till you make it," and then it crosses it and says, "No, it's not fake it till you make it. It's do your best and ask for help." Ah, that's so
right.
humbling.
Isn't it? That's that humble and stunting on people too, though. But it's because It's because I am not here because I did it alone. I also have to be filled with gratitude and thankful to all those who have been willing to help me. But do you know how many times we're afraid to ask for help?
Yeah.
Maybe it's accounting. I'm not good at numbers. I can't math right. I won't do it. I know words. I don't know math, but I have to ask for help so I can be able to be who I need to be. So
Mm,
no, I mean, it's not fake it till you make it. That's not a good wisdom. It's instead being humble enough to ask for help so that way you can become the person you need to be by learning.
I think that's beautiful. Okay, another one. I'm having so much fun with this. So this one says, "You hurt your feelings." I'll go again. All right. So this one says, "You hurt your own feelings when you don't move."
That's exactly right. Because I cannot blame someone else for my life choices.
Mm,
So often people want to play victim and have a victim mentality for why things weren't given to them or why they thought they were up for that promotion that they didn't get. If I don't move, there's no action that's going to cause me to be enter into in my greatness. So I have to take that's ownership. I have to take ownership of what I did to make that accomplishment be or that goal be met. So
Yeah. That's profound. Okay, I've got another one. I like this one. It says, be curious about yourself. How can I be
Yeah.
curious about myself?
You sh- you know what's interesting is I love there's another quote. I'm going to meet you with another quote. And so Oscar Wilde said, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance."
Hmm.
One of my favorite quotes from Oscar Wilde of all time. And it's because I am evolving as a person. I am not the same woman I was 3 years ago when we first met,
Yeah.
right? I've evolved during that
Yeah.
time. And I'm still learning about myself, the things I want, the things I dislike, the things that used to maybe, like my taste buds change over time.
Yeah.
My likes change over time. So I have to continually try new things and be curious to see if this is me now or was that the old me.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So that's beautiful. Now, I think I have, no, okay. I have something to say about this one, but I'll let you go first. It says, don't cling to the old.
Yeah. It's called the past for a reason. You have to
Hmm.
leave it there. You can't carry that baggage with you. It needs to stay back there. And if I keep holding on to that past, if I keep holding on to, maybe that past is a relationship. Maybe that past is the old me who was a people pleaser.
Hmm.
Maybe whatever that past is, you can't cling to that old self. You have to leave it. You have to leave it, drop it.
Hmm. That's beautiful. I learned something from Seth Godin. I imagine it's been a concept that's been around for a while, but he explained it in an interesting way. It's the concept of sunk cost. And sunk cost is the cost of what you have. You're holding on to something because of what it has cost you, and
Mm.
it's keeping you from moving to what's next. And so the example he had given is right. So dentists, for example, spend a lot of money to become dentist, but the job satisfaction rate of dentists is incredibly low. That means most of them hate their jobs, but most of them don't quit being dentists, right? And that's because they spend a lot of money in college, they spend lot of money becoming a dentist. It's a lot of investments. Like, if I stop being a dentist, what is going to be next? Like, do I have what it takes to push through to invest in what is next? Like, I've got too much skin in the game. So I'm going to say what I don't like, even if
That's being
even if it's
complacent.
costing me
No.
what I could like or what my life could
Right,
be.
right.
And
But it's also costing you your health,
hmm,
your physical and your mental health.
yeah,
You hate it. You don't like it. You do it day in and day out because it's what pays the bills. What
yeah,
joy is in that? You only get one life
hmm,
that I'm aware of, and that's this one. So why would I spend any more time on something that does not please me, doesn't suit me?
yeah,
That's why I say be curious, continue to learn about your likes or dislikes. But
yeah,
clinging on to that, holding on to that because of the bills, hey, I make plenty of mistakes.
yeah,
I make plenty of mistakes in life. But I don't hold on to the fact that if I fall and I scrape my knee, I'm not holding on to that band-aid that I had that healed me. Like I
yeah,
have to let that go. Move forward. Like, right?
yeah. You move right on.
It's pain, but you move forward.
I I think something that helps is minimal voluntary exposure. So I'll explain that. And I learned this from Dan Cole. So if you are doing something that you don't like and you want to transition to doing something you like, the key is expose yourself to that thing that you like to do with a fraction of time every day. So if you're a dentist, well, that's the example. If you're a dentist and you don't want to be a dentist, you want to draw, you want to paint, you want to Do whatever. Like, do that thing that you want to do for 60 minutes every day, right? It's not going to take you away from your job. Just do it. Do it for fun. Try to build an audience, a career, something. Just attempt it. Try it voluntarily. Expose yourself to it. And the voluntary exposure, first of all, will make you, well, it would not reduce your fear of the unknown, but it'll make you bolder to face it, right? And so, and there's some psychology behind that, but you become more primed to do the thing, even though you are scared of it. And that can gradually lead from like 90-10 to 80-20 to 70-30. And slowly you start to do the thing that you love.
You know what's
Okay.
interesting about that too?
Uh,
It's people's it's
yeah.
their perceptions of how um, you spent how much time in dental school to learn the fundamentals. It didn't happen overnight. It was a
Mhm.
progression.
Yeah.
So allow yourself that same grace as you were transitioning to a new career. It's a progression, it's your evolution. It shouldn't just be, I'm going to drop everything and I'm going to start this new thing and expect it to have, the rewards. It's a
Yeah.
progression. Life's a progression.
Okay. I've got another interesting one. It says, are you going to complain about the opportunity? What does that mean?
Because sometimes
Mm,
this is a key um, this is a key message here when it comes to thinking negatively and positively.
mm,
Now, we say it's a challenge. Ah, my day was challenging. Ah, I was being stretched. Ah, they asked more of me. Okay. So you were asked to do more. You were asked to take on a task that you're not familiar with. You were tasked to do more with less. It tends to be the case.
yeah. Yeah.
So then do it and see how strong you are. This is an opportunity for you to show how amazing and that you are. That yes, I can create something from nothing. Yes, I can do more with less.
Yeah.
Yes, I can be more efficient. Yes,
Mm,
it's an opportunity
mm,
for you to grow. So don't complain about
yeah.
this opportunity. It may be challenging, but guess what? You would have if the challenge wasn't presented, you'd never have the opportunity to see you succeed. So,
And you don't even know who you are if you don't face a challenge. A challenge will introduce you to
right?
yourself, really.
Right?
You don't know what you're made of yet until there's something stopping you, or there's something you have to overcome, there's something you've got to do, right? And that's when your resilience, your grit, the best part of you, your creative self, your interest in self comes out. And so that's beautiful. Now I've got this one, and you've got to explain what it is. So yeah, this is probably the last one, or maybe just one more. But ready?
So wait, before you read this, hold
Yeah,
on, hold
yeah,
on. When you when you ask me these,
yeah.
do they sound absurd sometimes?
No,
Or it's interesting to get my backstory and also your perspective. So that's why I'm really enjoying what we're doing here
yeah,
because it's left to interpretation as well. So I think that's brilliant.
yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm having so much fun. We should do this one again. I think we should do another session with just quotes back and forth and explaining it. I
Oh,
think it's going to be fun.
valid.
Okay, so here's what this says. It says, moving on is more about moving forward than being done. I'm about to scream. I'm holding
Moving
it back.
on. Oh man, do you know how many times I've invested so much in things that like you said with this doctor, right? It's or the dentist. I sometimes you just got to let it go.
Mm,
You just got to let it go. You got to move on from it. It's the perfection. It's the fact that I can't move on from it. I'll keep coming back to it. I'll keep wanting to fine tune and fine tune and fine tune.
yeah.
Tell me your thoughts.
It looks to me like you don't have to be done to move forward,
Because
right?
you're going to come back to it anyhow,
Yeah. And this can be seen, so this can be applied to relationships as well. It's like you're trying to get over something, or something hurt you, someone hurt you, and you just want to be done with it. You want it to evaporate, or you want to erase that part of your life, but that's near impossible. You're going to have to move forward without being done. And maybe you get done,
right?
maybe you don't, but you're moving.
Whose closure? Who gets to determine when you're done? You do. You
Yeah.
do. Why are we waiting for if you're talking about relationships in that aspect? You get to determine the closure. You're over it.
Mm,
Move forward. Why
yeah.
hold on to it? It's done.
Move
You know, it's like a
forward.
painting. You know what's interesting about painting, and I love to paint. I'll
Mm,
create. You've seen me in my sessions sometimes. I'll
I
create,
have.
and I want to fine tune and fine tune. Artists will have unfinished paintings for years and then come back to it
Mm,
because they're always the paint's not the paint's done. The painting is done when you're willing to say it's to completion, right?
yeah.
But unless you're willing in anything, whether it's a job, a relationship, or this painting, I'm always going to be fine tuning it, right? I'm going to continue
Mm,
moving on with life. It's going to be how I perceive it. But that concept of who gets to determine when it's done, that's your power. Don't lose
mm,
fact of that's you. You get to determine that.
yeah. Okay. Here's one final one. I don't want to stop this, but yeah. This says the sun doesn't forget who it is just because it's a cloudy day.
Yeah. Ah,
That is direction. That is clarity. Yeah.
yeah. Because I would get so down on myself. I would get so down on myself, not feeling like I was doing enough,
Mm,
not feeling like, or all the hard work that I had created, like it kind of sometimes felt like it was all for naught. You're like, right? Those measures of success. But
mm,
I can't forget, or even when I would put my heart into something and then it not be what a client wanted, or it be a complete flop, right? How much time have we invested in things that we thought were going to be so brilliant and it was a flop, right?
mm,
But was it really a flop? Was it a failure? No, it's not. You can't stop being you. You can't stop
mm,
being brilliant. You're going to shine regardless. Don't let anyone dull you with their thoughts. Don't even self sabotage that way. And I think that that's that clarity is like you're still going to shine. You're still going to persevere. You're still going to be bounce back. You're still going to be resilient. You just have to remember who you are. Because I forgot who I was for a while. And I had to remember I'm the sun. I
mm.
shine. So even when it's cloudy, I'm still there.
Still there. That's profound. Okay, I promised that that was the last one, but I found
Did you
one, and
lie?
I think now I didn't lie at the time,
What is
but I
it?
think
What is it?
I don't know if I can pass this one. It says recognizing my limitations is just as important as knowing my strengths,
Hmm.
because the human psyche tends to lean on the negative,
Hmm.
and we have to consciously remind ourselves, like, yeah, you've got limitations, but you've also got strength, right? You've got strengths, and they are as present as your limitations, many times more than your limitations.
Hmm.
And it's our choice to decide where we want to lean towards. And so,
Right. And I'm going to flip that on you a little bit even more so. So sometimes, and this is interesting. So pre-COVID, I took the Clifton Strength Finder test, and
mm,
found out what my strengths were. Right, but
yeah,
recently I had taken it again, and one of my weaknesses that was very low ended up being in my top five. It was adaptability. I
wow,
used to have such a difficult time with when change would happen. Like in my mindset, I was so structured. It has to go a certain way. And if it doesn't go that way, then it's a complete wash, right?
mm,
Well, life didn't go the way I intended it to. I experienced a divorce. I experienced a toxic leadership at a position that I loved, and I
mm,
could have saw myself retiring at, spending another 20 years, 30 years there, right?
yeah,
I there was just so much of life that was happening. COVID happened. It, everything had to change. It was forced upon me. And now, after dealing and going through all those emotions and finding the grit and finding the resilience to persevere and keep going, I learned that adaptability is now my strength. Because if I could make it through that, trust and
yeah,
believe I can make it through anything. And so when you say that quote, that's a reminder to me
mm,
that look, you're here because you had the power within. You were resilient. You kept going. So sometimes your weaknesses end up being your strengths when you work on them
yeah.
or you're forced to work on them.
Mm. That's something I think we should unpack, perhaps in another conversation, because that's a very interesting thing. But yeah, in the meantime, I think this might be a great place to end the conversation. What do you think? Is there something
I
else
think
you'd like to talk about?
no, this has been such, as it always is a delight to talk to you. It's
Yeah,
just a real conversation about real things we unearth, and I think that that's really cool.
yeah. And just so you guys know, I get the privilege to have this kind of conversation with her like a lot. And so maybe we'll bring some of that forward sometime. But yeah, we've got the book, Resilience in Words. It's not a book, it's an actual tool. So if you have dreams, if you have things you'd like to achieve, if you want to get ahead, if you want to move from reacting to being proactive, this is the book for you, right? It's got three key stuff, right? You've got the insights, some of what we've been talking about, right? Every single day you get the privilege of an insight. If you want to read all in a day, knock yourself out. But you can take it day by day. And you've got a planner in there to help you plan. you probably want to go back to listen to some of the stuff that we said about planning that'll help you. And we've got a journal there. That is a cool part of it. Declutter your mind, chronicle your thoughts, learn about yourself, right? Get more acquainted with who you are. And that is going to have a positive effect on your planning. And then, so you get insights every day, you get some inspiration, you get to plan and you get to journal. You are going to be better. You will be better. You will achieve your goals. But more importantly, you become another person. You become that person that you dream to become. So, on your route to achieving your goal, on your way to achieving your goal, two things can happen. You can either achieve the goal or discover something. Either way, you win, right? So, it's worth it. Go grab it. It's available on Amazon. The link will be wherever you see this video. Check it out. Definitely order it. Give it as a gift to someone. If you really love them, just give it as a gift to someone. It'll help them. It'll help them. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting this
Thank you
and
so
for everyone
much.
being here. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a good conversation. If you want us to do this again, let us know in the comments, I guess.